Hello everyone, in this video lecture I am going to explain about a language hierarchy. First of all, the regular language. This is the basic level of language, and this language can be accepted by some finite state machine. Now here we will consider an example of accepting strings of A's and B's and where all A's come before all B's. So we are going to draw a FSM for this. So I have already here shown a FSM which will accept the strings of A's and B's and where all A's come before all B's. So when I say all A's come before all B's, one thing is clear here. This is going to accept even epsilon, because there is no problem of violating the rule in this case. Okay, then any number of A's also okay, any number of A's also okay. There is also no problem of violating the rule, because as there is only A's in it. And then we have something like AA, BB, that is also fine. So AA, BB can be accepted by a machine like this. You can see here. So here A, suppose we have 3 A's, first A, second A, third A, and followed by BBB, 1B, 2B, 3B. So we have reached a final state, and our input is over. So that means this machine is going to accept. Suppose in case if you have an input like AAA, BBB and followed by 1A or more A's, then what case? So AAA, BBB, you will reach to state 2. From after this, if you get one more A, even a single A, even if you get, you should go to a dead state. That dead state is numbered as here 3. And there in the dead state, even if you get A or B, no issues, because already you are in the dead state. So this is the way you can construct a FSM. Now we'll consider the next level of languages, context-free languages. And remember, regular languages are subset of context-free languages. That means the machine that accepts context-free languages also accepts regular languages. But the FSM is going to accept only the regular languages, not the context-free languages. So now, context-free languages are accepted by some push-down automata. That is why I am going to consider a language called A to the power n, B to the power n, which says why we need push-down automata. Because A to the power n, A to the power n says number of A's expects number of A's and number of B's should be equal, which cannot be compared using a finite state machine. That is why we have one more machine called FSM with stack. FSM with stack, single stack to FSM. So such a machine is called as push down automata or PDA. Now we'll see how to draw push down automata for A to the power n, B to the power n, and we cannot solve this using FSM. So that's why we have to build a PDA. Now in this case it is similar to FSM, but you can look at the transitions. Transitions contains a 3 character, and the 3 characters separated by a slash. Now the first character is the input character. What is your current character you are going to read? And the second character says whether you are pushing something onto the stack or not. That is, if it is epsilon, you are not pushing anything onto the stack. If other than that, if any alphabet character is present, then you are pushing onto the stack. The last character represent what you are popping off from the stack. And if it is epsilon, then it says you are not popping off anything. So that is the case in case of these transition. Okay, and now how I am going to solve this A to the power n, B to the power problem. So in this case, what I am going to do is whenever I get A that is before B's, I will push it onto the stack. Okay, whenever I get A's, whichever is before B's, I'm going to push it onto the stack, and moment I get B, start getting B, what I'm going to do is I'm popping the same number of A's. That is, for the first B, I pop 1A. For the second B, I pop A. Similarly, based on the number of B's or number of A's present. Okay. In case if there are extra A's before B's, then what happens? After reaching the accepting state, there will be extra A's left out in the stack. It means that that particular string is not according to the language A to the power n, B to the power n. Even if the same character, suppose if you have extra A's after B's, that means input something is left out in the input string. This is also case for saying that that string is not part of the language, because obviously we want A to the power n, B to the power n, isn't it? We don't want A to the power n, B to the power n. We don't want A to the power n, B to the power n, and we don't want A to the power n, B to the power n, and A to the power, etc., etc. Okay, that kind of thing also we do want. So such a thing. So whenever you get, so for example, I have A, B, B. So first A, I will push it. Second A, I will push it. When I get B, I'll pop 1A. For the second B, I'll pop one more A. So that is means accept. Suppose if you have a extra A, after BB, then what happens? You are just go into the dead state. This is how we are going to solve the problem. Now we'll see the decidable and semi-decidable language. And remember, the regular languages, context-free languages are the subset of decidable and semi-decidable languages. So semi-decidable and semi-decidable languages are represented by a Turing machine. That is why even its subsets also will be represented by a Turing machine. Now we'll see the two classes of languages. One is language is decidable if and only, or we can tell language L is decidable if and only there exists a Turing machine M that holds on all inputs, accepts all strings that are in L, and rejects all strings that are not in L. That means if language L is decidable, it is certainly is going to give you answer by saying yes or no. That is whether it is accepted or rejected. But when it comes to decidable languages, there exists a Turing machine M that holds on all inputs or accepts all strings that are in L and fails to accept every string that is not in L. So that means, for example, if you have a C program and you have designed such a way that it is going to accept all strings that are part of that. For example, if you are giving some input which is out of that particular problem statement, then it may going to reject, or it is going to, or your program, because of the way you have written, it is going to loop forever. You might get an infinite loop. The same thing happens in case of semi-decidable. So either if the language is not in L, it may reject or it may loop forever. Now we'll see how does the Turing machine can be designed for A to the power n, B to the power n, C to the power n, and we'll see how the machine will look. Now regarding A to the power n, B to the power n, C to the power n, what does it say? It says that the language is composed of all strings of A's and B's and C's, such that all A's come first, followed by all the B's and then all the C's. That is, number of A's should be equal to C's, number of C's and number of B's. Now let's see the third kind of a machine, that is Turing machine. To represent this kind of a language. And remember, A to the power n, B to the power n, C to the power language cannot be represented by a context-free language machine, that is PDA, for push down automata, cannot represent this language. That is why we wanted a third kind of machine called Turing machine. And here in this case we have a infinite tape in place of stack. Earlier in PDA we had FSM plus that is finite state machine plus stack, but here we have, instead of stack, we have infinite tape, and which can hold the all your input. So you can see here in the figure that this is a infinite tape. This is the infinite tape which will hold your input A, B, B, and so on. And whereas these are the places that is before your input all will be blanks, and after your input all will be blanks. So tape will have a single read write head. So you can see the always read write head will be over the current character which is going to processed currently. So tape will have a single read write head, and only tape square under the read write head can be accessed for reading or writing. So suppose currently read write head is on the above, this can be used for reading or writing. Now read write head can be moved one square in either direction on each move. You see, every time once this current character is processed, either your tape head will move one character to the left or to the right, or in some kind of Turing machine it can remain at the same place. So read write head can be moved one square in either direction on each move. The resulting machine is called a Turing machine. So this kind of machine, that is, this also needs a finite state controller. So this finite state controller, with the help of Turing machine, it is going to process a language like A to the power n, B to the power n, C to the power n. That's about Turing machine. Now we'll see now we'll represent all these languages in a figure. So here you can see that this is a basic level language, that is regular language, and it is represented by FSMs, whatever I have explained previously. Context-free languages, okay, context-free languages above regular languages. That means regular languages is a subset of context-free languages, and context-free languages are represented by PDA. So even that is, since regular language is a subset of context-free language, PDA can also represent these kind of languages. Then we have a decidable and semi-decidable languages. So which is represented by a Turing machine, and its subset also, that is its subset in the sense context-free languages and regular languages have also represented by a Turing machine. That means one thing is clear, as you move outwards from the basic level to outward, it has a greater power. That means it has a greater good access to tools as it moves outwards. So that is about language hierarchy.